Number 2, Ohio State comes to town this weekend. Let's get to know them because, this may not be pretty.
You are Locked On Northwestern, your daily podcast on the Northwestern Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Northwestern, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen every day. We appreciate it for anything and everything Northwestern. We're covering it here. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. We're also on YouTube. Just look up Locked On Northwestern. Make sure wherever you are listening, you subscribe, turn on notifications. We'd also like to thank LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs is the sponsor of today's episode. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, so we all know the situation here at hand. 1-7 Northwestern, losing 7 straight games. Well, this weekend they welcome Ohio State, number 2 in the country in the newly unveiled college football playoff rankings. Look, this team is the Death Star. They are 8-0. Showing no real signs of slowing down. I mean, Penn State gave them a game for a while last week. Notre Dame gave them a game, and that is about it. They have wrecked everybody else. They have scored below 40 points once, and that was in that week 1 game. This team is really, really salty. I mean, they put up 45 against Arkansas State, 77 against Toledo, 52 against Wisconsin, 49 against Rutgers, 49 against Michigan State, 54 against Iowa, and 44 against Penn State. They are so explosive on offense when you look at them. I mean, they're number 6 in the country in total offense, number 2 in scoring offense. They're 509 yards, 0.2 yards per game, 48.9 points per game. Number 12 in passing offense, 317 yards per game this season. And then they are number 34 in rushing offense with about 191 and a half yards per game on the ground. Number 2 in red zone offense, 97.6% of their drives, all but one, 40 of 41 drives that have gotten into the red zone have resulted in a score. 80.5% of that of those drives have ended in touchdowns. It's really impressive numbers there. They are tied for 14th in third down conversion percentage at 50%. They are 4th in completion percentage at 71.5%. Number 2 in pass efficiency. When you look at the offense, there's talent all over the field, and it starts with the quarterback, C.J. Stroud, 159 of 223, 71.3% completion percentage on the year, 2,377 yards, 10.7 yards per attempt, 29 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and a passer rating of 200.2, which is astronomically high. I mean, the team pass efficiency is 197.33, number 2 in the country. Their running backs, they have Mayan Williams, who's been a little banged up. He might come back this week. It remains to be announced. He has 76 rushes for 525 yards, 10 touchdowns. He also has 4 receptions for 26 yards. Behind him, I guess technically in front of him, you have Travion Henderson, a name that Big Ten fans have become pretty well accustomed to hearing. 96 attempts, 552 yards, 6 touchdowns. And they also have Dallin Hayden, 54 carries, 255 yards, and a touchdown as well. Look, they run the ball extremely well on the ground, about 5.4 yards per carry. They're just a good offense. I mean, they're 7.7 yards per pass attempt, 5.4 yards per carry. I mean, they're 7.7 yards per play, rather. Excuse me. I looked at the wrong number there. In the passing game, Emeka Egbuka, 47 receptions, 788 yards, 7 touchdowns. What a season so far for him. You also have Marvin Harrison Jr., potentially could win the Biletnikoff this year. 48 receptions, 783 yards, 10 touchdowns. Both of those guys are well over 16 yards per reception. You also have the tight end, Cade Stover, 24 catches, 309 yards, 3 touchdowns. And look, they're this explosive without Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is maybe the best receiver in the country. I mean, they've been a truly, truly explosive offense. So many weapons, so many different ways to attack you. What was impressive, which was something they lacked last season, in week 1, the offense wasn't exactly clicking on all cylinders. So they kind of turned it into a grinded out, run it down your throat kind of game. And that's what they needed to honestly prove that they were capable of. And that's been, now that we know that they can do that, I don't know how you really beat this offense. This offense can play any game you want to play. If you want to go up and down the field, score points, and have a shootout, they can do that. If you want to run the football and grind it out that way, well, they can do that too. They're so dangerous, so explosive. They're going to have multiple award-winning players at the end of the year on offense. It's really been impressive to watch this team. Northwestern's going to have their hands full. Northwestern's defense trending in a really bad direction, allowing 33 points to Iowa. Not what you want to see, especially because Iowa's offense has been putrid at best. There were 227 yards per game coming into last week against Northwestern, and Northwestern allowed 252 yards in the first half. Iowa scored on 7 of 8 drives. If that trend continues, Ohio State may not punt in this game. They may score basically a touchdown every drive, and they will have more than 8 drives in this game. And it's tough. It's tough to see the way that this Northwestern defense is trending. I think there's too much speed, too much physicality on this Ohio State offense. They've got the best quarterback that Northwestern has seen or will see all year long. Best quarterback in the country, to be honest. Just a whole lot of recipes that do not exactly inspire confidence for Northwestern's defense in this one. Second level, they've had a speed issue all year long. Well, there's going to be a lot of speed on the field on Saturday. There are concerns, to say the least. It's going to be a significant challenge for Northwestern in this one, and I'm not sure the defense is going to put forth a performance that inspires a lot of confidence moving down the stretch this season. But you know who you can be confident in? You can be confident in our friends at LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Just add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Also, thanks for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, so we have talked about Ohio State and this juggernaut of an offense. Well, defense is pretty good too. Look, Jim Knowles' first year coming over from Oklahoma State, where he had an awesome defense there. This defense is number 6 in total defense this year, 270.1 yards per game, number 10 in scoring defense, allowing 16.88 points per game as well. I mean, look, they have not allowed – they allowed 31 points last week. Before that, they had not allowed more than 21 points. In fact, in half of their games almost, they are holding teams below that 20-point mark. And that's not a recipe for success for a struggling Northwestern offense. They are number 5 in third down defense with 26.4% of third downs allowed for a first down. They're number 18 in fourth down defense at 37.5% as well. Number 11 in pass defense, allowing 176.8 passing yards per game. Number 10 in rushing defense, allowing 93.4 yards per game on the ground. Number 28 in sacks, allowing 22, getting 22 rather. Number 20 in tackles for loss with 55 on the season. And they are number 14 in turnovers gained, 16 on the year, 6 of those being fumbles, 10 of those being interceptions. Look, they've got some guys that I think can give Northwestern a lot of trouble. I'm going to highlight JT Tuimoloau. Last week, he wrecked their game against Penn State. He had 6 tackles, a couple sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, 2 interceptions. I think he had a batted down pass as well. 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick 6. It was the most terrifying game I think I've ever seen a defensive player have. He absolutely wrecked the game from start to finish. Never seen anything like it. And he is the reason why they had the huge surge in the second half that allowed Ohio State to take that lead that ended up winning that game. Really dominant performance. It's going to be fascinating to see how he matches up with this Northwestern offensive line that has been solid this year. Last week, there were 7 sacks allowed. Interestingly enough, the pass block grades on Pro Football Focus were pretty good, especially for Peter Skoronski. Can Skoronski hold up against this Ohio State defensive line? Ohio State's obviously known for producing defensive linemen. Does Jim Knowles kind of heat up the young quarterback in Brendan Sullivan? I don't know. Remains to be seen. Brendan Sullivan, how does he react to losses in his first 2 starts? Coming back home finally after a couple road games remains to be seen. It's going to be a tough challenge for this Northwestern offense. They actually are going against a defense that allows fewer rushing yards per game than Iowa last week, and Northwestern could not get going on the ground against Iowa. So something has to change this week as they take on Ohio State. Evan Hull, team leader in what feels like everything on offense, he needs to get loose somehow, and Northwestern has to figure out ways to create lanes for him to run, get some push, generate some holes, give Brendan Sullivan time back there to complete passes. And look, I mean, Northwestern's probably going to have to figure out a way to push the ball down the field a little better than they have with Brendan Sullivan at quarterback. He's had some moments that have been really impressive. He had that one deep ball a few weeks ago to Bryce Kurtz that was the best throw we've seen by a Northwestern quarterback all year long. It's going to be on the offensive line to open up holes and give Brendan Sullivan time. Then it's going to be on the wide receivers to figure out ways to get open. It's going to be a difficult challenge against a really, really, really good Ohio State defense. But, I wouldn't bet on a ton of success here. But, where you can bet is with our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is the number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis for every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. Also, before we get going in this next segment, thank you for making Locked On Northwestern your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Now that we've talked about Ohio State, Northwestern basketball's here. And it's good to talk about something a little different. Tonight, they have their exhibition game as Chris Collins looks to get his 10th season started against Quincy. Northwestern is that game will actually be at 7 p.m. on Big Ten Network Plus, or the Big Ten Plus channel, I guess, on stream. Northwestern this year is returning 59% of its minutes. 4 of 5 starters return. Boo Buie is the leading scorer, returning at 14.1 points per game. 56% of Northwestern scoring returns. I believe they are third in minutes returning this year. Chase Audige is coming back at 9.8 points per game. He had a hip injury early last year. This year, he should be healthy to start the year. 1.8 steals per game last season. Highest in 12 years, one of the better numbers in the Big Ten last year as well. Robbie Barron is kind of rounds out a group of a few seniors on this team. Has not missed a game in the last 3 seasons. He has 4.3 rebounds per game last year. Will be a key player this year on defense. He had 23 block shots last year. And look, he's probably going to lead the team in three-point percentage as well. He was 37.9% from 3 last year, second in the Big Ten, or actually 37.9% from 3 last year in Big Ten play. Good for second in the Big Ten. Northwestern has won 11 straight exhibition games. In that stretch, they are 2-0 versus Quincy. They won 105-64 in 2019. They won 80-64 in 2015. And then in the 2020-2021 season, these two teams actually met during the pandemic season, the COVID season, and Northwestern came out with a 148 victory in that one. Quincy last year was 15-16, 8-12 in conference play. They are picked to come in 12th in their conference, the GLVC. Their head coach is Steve Hawkins, who was the head coach at Western Michigan from 2003 to 2020. So somebody who has higher level, I guess, basketball experience for a long amount of time. He's actually at, I think he was at Western Michigan for 21 years, if I recall correctly. And look, it's going to be good to see this team get out there as they get this season kicked off. It's going to be an interesting challenge as the season progresses. Losing 2 significant players, one to UNC, the other to Duke. How does this team kind of mesh together? And how does it look in the 10th season for Chris Collins? Something's got to get going here. He has 133 wins, good for 3rd all-time in Northwestern program history. How high can he climb up that list? It remains to be seen. But that's what's going on tonight with Northwestern. Make sure you tune in for that. We'll probably talk about it a little bit, probably on Friday's episode, because we do have our crossover coming up tomorrow with Locked On Buckeyes with Jay Stevens over there. That'll be a really fun episode. Going to enjoy that. But that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Northwestern. Thank you for making us your first listen every day for anything and everything Northwestern. We're available wherever you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. We're also on YouTube. Just search Locked On Northwestern and you can find us. And yeah, wherever you listen, make sure you turn on those notifications. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you leave a comment. Give us some feedback. That's how we help grow the show. That's how it all works for us. Yeah, we would. You can follow me. I'm the host, Carter Bird. You can follow me on social media at CarterBird13 on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.